Hey everybody, we've got some signing news this afternoon, and the Florida Panthers continue their very busy start to the offseason as they have locked up restricted free agent Sam Bennett to a 4-year contract. And after a very, very strong end of the season last year with Florida after being traded from the Calgary Flames, Bennett now gets locked up by the Panthers and will be staying there for the foreseeable future. Before we fully get into it, I just ask that you please subscribe and hit that thumbs up. Helps the channel a ton and is greatly appreciated. But let's get into the details here. Sam Bennett is a 25-year-old forward. He can play center or wing. And as I said, he has just signed a 4-year deal with the Florida Panthers. This deal is worth $4.4 million per season. So obviously a pretty decent cap hit here for Sam Bennett. Nothing huge, but for what Sam Bennett is, they obviously believe in him to continue to produce like he was at the end of the season last year. Last season, 2021, he split, obviously started the year with the Calgary Flames, played the last 10 games of the regular season with Florida, and then obviously was with Florida for the playoffs. He finished the year with 10 goals, 17 assists, 27 points, and a -2 rating. However, 15 of those 27 points came in the last 10 games with Florida. So that kind of shows the difference of Bennett in Calgary versus Bennett in Florida. He really took off after that trade and played the best hockey of his career to this point. And obviously, Florida is hoping that he can continue that and continue on that path with the Panthers as they sign him to a 4-year deal. Honestly, this contract is just going to come down to which Sam Bennett do the Panthers get on a consistent basis. If Sam Bennett continues to play the way that he did in a Florida uniform at the end of last season, this contract is going to be worth every penny. He's a very valuable player. Like I said, he can play center or the wing. He can produce points. He plays with a ton of energy. He can drop the gloves. He stands up for his teammates. He plays very physically. Like he really is a great all-around player when he's playing at his best. And this contract will be well worth it for Florida if he continues to play that way. However, if he reverts back to Calgary Flames Sam Bennett, where point production was very, very low, kind of disappeared for stretches during the season, just overall struggled a lot of the time, would have some really good stretches, but then go for long stretches where they really struggled. If Calgary Flames Sam Bennett returns, this is going to be a tough contract for Florida. $4.4 million is obviously not a huge cap hit, but it's a pretty decent chunk of change. I mean, we think about what what Philadelphia just did with Shane Gostisbehere. Basically, they traded him. They had to get his contract off the books. His was at $4.5 million, so right around the same amount of money. They ended up just dumping him off for nothing to Arizona because his play was so poor, and he and his cap hit, they needed the money for the salary cap space. So if Sam Bennett goes back to Calgary Flames Sam Bennett, this might end up, being a deal that it doesn't work out so well for the Florida Panthers. However, looking at the way that Bennett played at the end of last season, he certainly looks a lot better in a Florida uniform than he did in Calgary. And if he continues that and continues to play that way, then this is going to end up being a great deal for the Panthers. And overall, with what they've done this offseason, locking up Duclair, adding Reinhart, now locking up Bennett, this Florida team is loaded up front with talent. And they are probably they should be one of the higher scoring teams in the NHL next season. They've got a ton of talent up front. They've got a really good forward group. Bennett is another guy that, you can play him on as high as the second line. You could play him down on the third line. You could play him in the middle. You could play him on the wing. He's very versatile, and he's definitely another guy that makes this team better. So Florida's forward group is absolutely loaded. add Sam Bennett to that as they lock him up to a 4-year deal, bringing him back with the Panthers. And at 25 years old and a former 4th overall pick, obviously there's very high upside here. So I like this deal for the Panthers. I think Bennett is going to be a really important player for them. I just, for their sake, hope he doesn't revert back to Calgary Flames Bennett, because the sample size is a little small as far as him in Florida. He only played 10 games in the regular season. He did have 15 points in those 10 games, but it's still a very small sample size. They need to hope that that's consistently what he's able to do. Or he's not going to be an above point per game player. Don't think that he's going to score 80 or 90 points over a 82 game season. He's if they get 50 points out of Sam Bennett, that is a great year for him. If they get 50 points out of Sam Bennett, that is a great year. If they get 40 points out of Sam Bennett, that's still pretty darn good. As long as he's a 40-point player, he is worth this contract, and he's going to bring a lot of other intangibles like the physicality and standing up for his teammates and energy and stuff like that. He's going to bring that to the table as well. So don't expect him to score 15 points every 10 games, but do expect him to show up on a nightly basis. And if he has a 40 to 50 point year next year, if he goes over 50 points, that's fantastic. Even if he has a 40-point year, that's still pretty good for Sam Bennett standards. And as long as he continues to play better than he did in Calgary, this is probably going to work out for the Panthers. But they've got a talented forward group, and Bennett is staying, so that keeps him there and adds to that very talented forward group. So with that, like, comment, share, subscribe, follow on social media. All those links are down in the description. If you'd like to further support the channel, the links to our Patreon merchandise store, donation link, and channel memberships are down in the description as well. Keep spreading the word about this channel. Let's keep this thing growing. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you guys soon.